Hi everyone. Here we are at the fourth in our five-part series on ACUDO. This section is on discovery. Now, games and play are really an evolutionary adaptation. The reason that we play is so that we can practice things that occur in the real world, develop real-world skills in an environment where it's safe to fail. Take hide and seek, for example. Children play hide and seek, and all children have played hide and seek. In fact, it's often the very first game any of us play as we play the object permanence game Peekaboo with babies in the crib. We play this game because it's fundamental to human survival. It's actually the most important possible game that we can play. If children didn't have a way of learning, practicing how to hide from predators, well, there would be no people. So we had to create a simulated predator-prey situation so that children could practice. So in that same way, games create a kind of information space that we can discover, travel around in, and discover safely. This safety is, of course, a really important part of discovery. We don't want to create anxiety in the person using our application, but we want to create a sense of curiosity. Curiosity about discovery is fundamental to making our systems interesting. There's a really excellent book called A Theory of Fun by Ralph Koster, where he talks specifically about how games are really discovery engines, learning systems where we can discover a terrain. Thinking about the information terrain that your user is exploring and making sure they have the opportunity to discover something new as they travel around in your space is an important way to build and maintain engagement. Let's see if we can see some examples.
One of our apps for addiction recovery gives the user a new grounding technique to try every day. If the user finds that technique helpful, it is added to their grounding flow. They are constantly discovering new techniques to help them deal with triggering events.
Games are built out of compulsion loops. So we go and gather small amounts of resources that we use to build our cities, and then we use those cities in great battles, and then those great battles are part of this longer arc of engagement with the game. This technique of using loops within loops within loops is actually a really important part of how games get and keep our attention. There's a loop of curiosity and discovery that's very fundamental to how people explore new ideas. You don't know the whole space that you're in. You don't know how much information you don't have. And so you can imagine a metaphor of a person walking around with a flashlight in the dark. They're illuminating a circle as they travel around in the space, learning more, creating a mental map of the territory that they're traveling around in. One really interesting way to think of your application is as a kind of information terrain. And each piece of user interface that you show, each screen that you show, is like that circle of light, illuminating some information space. What are you preserving for them to discover later? What do they not see on this screen that they might want to see? And how do you create in them a sense that they'll want to move on because there is something interesting for them to find? Not just utility, because of course utility is important and we want to give them utility, but offering them utility, promising them utility, but then delivering delight and interest. That's a way that you build a sense in your user that they're in a space where there is yet more to discover.